next question. So next question says, which of the following best describes the efficiency of monopolistically competitive firms? And so the answer choice A says allocatively efficient but productively inefficient. 2 says neither allocatively nor productively efficient. C says allocatively inefficient but productively efficient. D says both allocatively efficient and productively efficient. And so this question is first testing, do we know what the market structure of monopolistic competition is? And second, what is the difference between allocative efficiency and productive efficiency? And so the first thing we have to know is the market structure for a monopolistically competitive firm. I believe the previous tutor had included a chart, so we're just going to use theirs, so it's much prettier. And so this is kind of a good indication of what monopolistic competition looks like. So the big differentiating factor is that we have both an average revenue curve, which is kind of like a demand curve, and then we also have a marginal revenue curve, which is a more steeper version of the average revenue curve. And so the reason that monopolistically competitive firms face this type of curve is because they have a certain level of market power due to the fact that in monopolistic competition you have small firms that produce slightly differentiated goods rather than homogeneous goods. And so that means that if a firm wants to sell more of a good, they have to decrease their price, and that not only decreases how much they get for this new good, but also how much they get for all the goods they've been selling up to that point. And so that lower slope is going to give us a lower marginal revenue. And so in terms of price optimization, what we're going to see happen for a firm in a monopolistically competitive market is that they're going to produce where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, which is going to be right over here at C1, Q1. And then that you're going to price, however, at Q1's kind of corresponding point on the demand curve, which would be at P1. And so this is how you decide what quantity, and then they move up to the demand curve, and that is the price that they charge. And what results is this square of profits in the short run, where they're actually able to earn positive economic profits as opposed to zero economic profit in this monopolistically competitive market. And so that's kind of a really big refresher on what the structure for monopolistic competition looks like. And so hopefully that is kind of familiar to you guys. So the question is this allocatively efficient or productively efficient? And what do those things actually mean? So allocative efficiency refers to the idea that goods are being produced at the societally optimal level, where you maximize the surplus to both consumers and producers. And so what's really happening here is that we have a certain level of deadweight loss. This triangle right here is going to be our deadweight loss because we know that we are giving producers higher levels of producer surplus, but we've reduced the level of consumer surplus and we lose a certain level of productivity. Allocative efficiency is basically maximized when you have a perfectly competitive market at equilibrium, right? If we have, a graph of perfect competition on the left, where we have our demand and our supply. If we just are producing at this point here, all of this area becomes surplus, and that maximizes our allocative efficiency. So anytime we deviate away from a perfectly competitive equilibrium, such as in the case of a monopolistic competitive firm, we are deviating away from allocative efficiency because this is the only maximum allocatively efficient point. Okay, so we know it's not allocatively efficient, but what about productive efficiency? And productive efficiency essentially says that we should be producing at a point in which costs are minimized. And so basically where the average cost is lowest. And so in a productive, in a regular market, we would see that, maybe we would have a production point that is at the minimum level of average cost. And so we can see here right now that's around here. But we are not at this point where average cost is minimized, and so we are at another point over here where average cost is relatively low, but is not at the minimum point. And so if you're producing at a point that is not at the minimum of the average cost, then you're also not producing at a productively efficient point because the cost of production is not minimized to the maximum extent, right? And so our final answer is going to be that it is the effect of monopolistic competition is that firms are neither allocatively nor productively efficient. And so that's going to be the answer choice that we choose. So let's take a look at the answer or rationale given by the previous tutor. So the previous tutor said, neither allocatively efficient nor productively efficient, which is good. And they said, a monopolistically competitive market is an imperfect market structure comprising of a large number of small firms that produce and supply differentiated goods in the market. The products supplied by firms cannot be substituted for each other due to their heterogeneity, which is opposed to their homogeneity. This grants a small market power to sellers with which they gain a portion of the market share that is unaffected when they charge a price of their own. Since goods cannot be perfectly substituted, the demand curve that firms face becomes downward sloping. As a consequence, the price charged by each firm is unique and does not correspond to the perfectly competitive price level. The price in perfect competition is equal to a minimum average total cost in the long run, which is also equal to marginal revenue and average revenue for a firm in the short run. However, in a monopolistically competitive firm, the price is established at a point on the average revenue curve corresponding to a profit maximizing level of the intersection of marginal cost and marginal revenue due to the downward slope. Hence, the market ceases to be productively or allocatively efficient. So I think that hits the nail kind of on the head. The only thing that could really make this answer a little bit better is if we specifically defined allocatively productively efficient, right? Because if we don't know what those things are, we can't answer this question. So we're just going to add that definition in, and otherwise it should be good. So allocative efficiency is maximized when a market is at perfectly competitive equilibrium, because that is the point in which total surplus to society is maximized. And then meanwhile, productive efficiency is maximized when producing at the minimum average total cost. As seen in the graph, a monopolistically competitive market deviates from the perfectly competitive equilibrium and does not produce at the minimum ETC. Therefore, it is neither allocatively nor productively efficient. Okay, so it looks like I have some typos, so we'll go over those real quickly. Yeah, I think this is just like things, this is random typos. So otherwise than that, like this answer choice is going to give us the definitions for both allocative and productive efficiency, and then allow us to kind of more effectively get to the answer that is right here. So we're going to say if solution is correct, so I'm just going to clarify with that.